Hello and welcome to AVOsJourney. My name is Anthony. This show is about helping the new and upcoming voiceover artists grow their business, sidestep all the crazy things that I seem to step on. It's been a hot minute since I've done a longer video than coffee time. We are busy as all get out. AcademyVoices, we're almost at 300 narrators. We've published over 135 audiobooks now. And it's just growing and growing and growing. So, yeah, it's like become another full-time thing. So very excited about that. If you're interested in checking it out, we'd love to have you. We extended the free month, and it's only $9 a month afterwards, anyways. But we've got a couple new jobs every day, so it's a good place to get an audition and get some audiobook work. All right. So anyway, speaking of that, I want to chat today with you about what I'm learning more and more, and I want to actually take a step back and kind of talk about some key issues that will help new people get work. Because as I'm casting more and more, now I've been casting a lot and listening to a lot of voice actors' audio, a lot of performances, and of course, people who submit, now that we've been doing this for a little while, you learn a lot about, everyone else and what they're actually doing. Because, for a while, we've run AVOsJourney Elite Academy and absolutely love it. And, we help a lot of voice actors. I think we've had, over 1,000 people now have joined AVOsJourney Elite Academy and have learned and grown from our teaching. But one of the challenges with that is, we don't get to listen to everyone's audio on a regular basis. So, with AcademyVoices, when people audition, right, or they submit their audio to be on the website, I listen to all of it. And so, I'm listening to a lot of voice actors' audio every single day. And I want to kind of take a step back and go over a few key things that could really help you get business, and some things that you might have a feeling in the back of your mind, but like if you're not getting work, there could be some things that are happening outside of your performance, right, that are causing you to not get any work at all, for people to not even think about giving you work. This is this is going to be a really important video, I think, for a lot of people. All right, so let's dive into this. So first things first, I love marketing, so I teach a lot of marketing. However, I've learned through all of this, what we're doing again with Academy Voices, that before you even get to the marketing part, we have to make sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that your audio sounds amazing. That's the first thing. We have to. Because I'm telling you, right off the bat, you get an extra 15 points above all of the other voice actors who are struggling with their audio. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to pull back the curtain for you and give you a dirty little secret. There are a lot, sadly, of voice actors who are struggling with their audio. I'm not sure if they don't know it. I don't know if they don't realize it. I don't know, but it's a lot. Okay. Tiffany and I, she's another voice actor who also helps me with Academy Voices and our casting and everything. We often have conversations about how we want to cast people because their performance was really good, but their audio, unfortunately, is so poor that we just can't cast them. We can't be, because there's only so much we can do, and I don't have time to go in depth with editing and everything of my own. We just don't have time. So that's a really big thing. So a couple of basics. Okay, you need to think of overdoing your acoustical treatment. Pillows, clothes, blankets, if you're in a closet, if you're in a hobo fort, whatever, the aesthetic value doesn't matter anything to us, because, unless you're making videos like I do, no one's going to see you. So it doesn't matter. What matters is the sound, and the more material you have It should be at least 4 inches thick. And it doesn't matter whether you're male or female here. The more treatment you have, the better. Okay? Whether it's a high-pitched voice or a low-pitched voice, the more the better, hands down. When in doubt, add more. Don't forget, and I've said this a bunch of times, we're not musicians. So that means we don't need room tone. We need no room tone. Okay, a lot of times you'll hear people say, don't treat too much because you won't get any room tone. That's not for voice actors. That's for like musicians. We don't need that. We want it to be completely dead in there. Okay, wherever we are. So add more. When in doubt, add 3 times more. Okay, when I first started, I had like 1 layer. And that was it. And for the longest time, I'm like, why does my audio suck? It's just not enough. Not enough. So you need to add a lot. And again, it doesn't have to be these panels or anything. These in here, I mean, I have carpet. These in here are a lot. They do help, absolutely. But they're also some aesthetic value because I'm doing a video. You know, you got a nice little setup over here. It just looks nice, right? But in my booth, right, I mean, it is wall to wall, 4 to 6 inches thick of insulation material. Then there's 6-inch thick bass traps that I have up inside of the ceiling. Just every corner is lined. It's very, right? So there's difference. So you need to make sure that it is completely treated to the 9. And again, if you have a question, double the treatment, triple it. And I'm serious about it. All right? And if someone tells you, well, you don't need to, just because that will no matter what microphone, whatever equipment we're going to talk about in a second, that will help you more than anything. Don't hold back. Like, don't, common sense, double or triple the treatment, because you can't have too much for what we do. You can't. You literally can't have too much. There's no scenario and that we need room tone, because if there is for like a performance setting, we'll add it post. Right, but we need super clean, no room tone, no reverb, no bounce, none of that. Okay, so treat. Very important. Second thing, your equipment, your microphone. Okay, I a lot of people that have USB microphones or something like that, and you know, it's okay to start where you start, but just know that that's going to cause issues. Because there's only so much a Blue Yeti can do. It's going to sound the way it's not going to sound as good as a more expensive XLR mic. Now, again, I'm not telling you to hang up your hat for voiceover if that's all you can afford right now. That's not what I'm telling you, but I'm just telling you that don't, just be aware of it. It took me a while to understand when I first started out too, that my mic, actually I didn't understand it at first, but now I know. that your microphone and your equipment also plays a role in this, because there's only so much that the equipment has you can only push that equipment so far. You might be like, God, what is wrong? And you're doing all this stuff post editing, and you're EQing, and you're doing you're adding all this stuff. You're processing your audio so much, when the reality is the problem, or the problem is not all of that. The problem is your mic possibly, or your space. Do you understand what I'm saying? Or even your interface per se. So, and here's the deal, and I hate to say this, but the reality is about 80% of the time, the more expensive, the better. I know people are going to flip about that, and I understand, and it's a broad generalization, and I get it. So there's always an exception to the rule completely. But I'm telling you, I've learned. Now, when you get to like the TLM 103 or the 416 from Sennheiser, right? After that, you're only going to grow, like the more expensive a mic grows, it's only going to be it's going to be small, but the difference between like $100 to $200 microphone and the TLM 103 or the Sennheiser 416, I mean, and it's $1,000 mic, that $800 difference, it's a lot of money. I'm not telling everybody to go out and buy one right now, but I'm just saying it is a massive difference. So don't beat yourself up. I guess the point of this, don't beat yourself up if you don't have that equipment, but just know that equipment makes a massive difference. It really does. It's, you know what I mean? It's not like it really does, and it will make you sound a lot better, clearer. Okay? But note too, the better microphone and stuff that you have, if you have a poor space, it'll just make the poor sound more evident. So, that's important too. You got to be like, no matter what, your treatment has to be number one. All right. Number 2, again, you need to constantly upgrade to the best of your ability your equipment. Okay, you've got to upgrade it. I do recommend, a Rode NT1 to start, but you want to grow from there. Here's a perfect example, too. We have a new group starting in a VoiceOverJourney Elite Academy. It's a women's VO study group, and it's just for women. And, they had their first brainstorming session the other day, and, they were all talking about the mics and the equipment and the editing for women particularly. And it's different than men. It is. I've coached a lot of women as well, and it's just different. All right? The pitch is different. The voice style is different. The deliveries are different. All of those things are different. So, that's important too. So that's why on a side note, really excited about the women's VO group in a VoiceOverJourney Elite Academy. We're going to be, by the way, on a side note, we're going to be launching more about that in a month or so. We had our brainstorming session and stuff because we wanted to put together the curriculum and everything for it. So we're very excited, and that's being led by Gabby Nistico and Catherine Siggers, our coaches. So very excited about that. Anyways, moving on. So that part can't be overstated about your equipment and your space. That's number 1. Again, when in doubt, triple your treatment. I'm not being like... that's not a silliness or a joke or, it's I'm being serious. Okay. Next, your clarity in your voiceover, meaning that the way you speak. I hear a lot of voice actors who have trouble finishing their words. They're not very articulate when they speak. Now, don't think that I mean you have to speak like this. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about speaking like the way I am, being able to speak conversationally with different tones, but being able, making sure your words are finished and that we understand you completely. Again, you would be shocked, maybe not, but you'd be shocked about how many people struggle with that. And me, I call it the mile of crap between your mouth and the microphone. Something happens when we get in front of the mic that we're like, I've got to perform. You got to do something to where it changes your... sometimes we lose our common sense, especially when you're starting out for a while. And you realize, I really just have to talk and make sure that people can understand me. So how do we do that? Again, besides training, joining a place like a VoiceOverJourney Elite Academy and doing, we have a couple acting classes every week. That's why. We have multiple acting classes, audition classes, right? Acting 101, 201, because it's so vital to your success. But one simple thing you can do is literally tongue twisters. Do them slowly, so don't do them fast. Do them slowly. Force yourself to emphasize opening your mouth and finishing a word from start to finish. Okay? And you're just doing that as warm-ups, 5 to 10 minutes every single day. We're not trying to see how fast we can do the tongue twisters. It's slow because we're building subconsciously our speech, or speaking more clearly and articulate. It's very important. I mean, these are simple. So, like, for example, when I listen to an audition, if a person's sound... If their audio quality is good and they're extremely articulate and everything, I mean, like, I can understand them clearly and it's not a task to, like, words are not being cut off right off the bat. I'm ready to really listen further on because I'm telling you, there's so many people who just struggle with that. Now, one other thing is a caveat to that is over-processing. So remember when I talked about just a little bit ago, you're having issues with your space, your microphone, you don't like the sound, or you saw some video where someone did like 16-step processing and you're going through and you're processing your audio, you're editing it, you're adding EQ, you're taking away EQ, you're raising frequencies, lowering frequencies, you're using compression, you're using all these noise suppressors like waves, NS1 and all these different things, and you're just processing the snot out of your audio. Well, when you're done with it, it could sound like this because it could literally. I mean, I'm overdoing it there, but words are cut off, the ends are cut off. It's not clear. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of that comes from overprocessing. And I hear so much of that, where someone has just overprocessed their work so much that no matter what, even if I like the performance, it just sounds very amateurish, and like something's wrong with the audio because it's too processed. So it's important that I would rather you get closer. I'm not saying submit raw audio, but a lot of times I will always ask voice actors, especially when working for me first, is to submit a raw audio, because I want to hear what your raw audio sounds like before you start messing with it. Okay. And now I've gone over that, my processing chain time and time again, but it's very simple, right? There's only 4 or 5 steps. Okay, it's and it's simple on purpose because we're emphasizing your space and good equipment. That takes away, again, 80-90% of all the issues you have. All right, so just make sure, though, and when in doubt, also work on your articulation, work on speaking clearly, okay, so that everybody can understand what you're saying at all times. That's very, very, very important. Also, we have a lot of people with accents, meaning you're from either different parts of the world. So as we grow, we've got a lot of people from Spain, from France, from Mexico, Peru, the Philippines, everywhere. I mean, all sorts of people all over the world. Germany, different languages, different accents. It's important to make sure that when you're working with an accent, I love casting people with accents, right? That's not neutral American sometimes, but here's the challenge I have with it. Most of the time, we're still working on being clear. So you have to make sure that there's clarity there and that there's still a flow to your performance, right? When you're doing something in English with a heavy accent. Okay, I love it because I think a lot of work plays very well for it, but we still have to make sure, right, that you can articulate clearly in that language that you're doing, right, like English or something. So it's just another note there. Let's see. Moving on to, I think we talked about that. Yeah. So that's the key. Honestly, those 2 things, that should be your focus: your space, your equipment, and can you speak clearly and articulate in a manner that doesn't make you sound like you're trying to overdo it, right? It still sounds conversational, like you can talk normally, but I can understand you. I can understand every word you're saying very clearly, and it doesn't seem like it's pushed. Here's one other issue I hear a lot of, is a lot of crackling and a lot of artifacts. Artifacts are what we call noise that comes up, that shows up in your audio, that can be like like a robotic, not robotic, but it's what is it? It's like a twangy sound. It's a crackly sound. They're just noises that happen throughout your audio that are not from your space or from you. Okay, they're pretty much from your equipment, and a lot of times they end up coming from the transfer of your analog signal from your microphone to digital through your interface. And a lot of times that happens because the speed of your interface is not fast enough, okay, or it's not going as fast as we would like. So when it transfers it and it records it onto your software, right, it picks up a lot of artifacts. You could get noises from your interface because your interface is loud, like all this stuff itself. And there's nothing you can do you can't get that stuff out. The only thing you can do, right, is, upgrade your equipment if you're having an issue with that. I hear a lot of people with crackly things. One other thing about the crackling, if it's not your equipment, it's the over-processing. A lot of times people will compress and do stuff which will create all of this extra weird noise in the audio. So when you're talking, it's like there's all this crackling. Now, I'm not talking about like vocal fry. The vocal fry, right, with our voices, and we have that kind of like, that kind of sound like while you're talking sometimes. That's different. I'm talking about you can hear it when someone talks in their audio, the artifacts, the crackling in the audio, and you can't hire that person, even if they have a great a great voice. By the way, this happens a lot too to people with really deep voices. All right, and I think it's just because, you know, again, it's a hard frequency. So you have to make sure that your space and your equipment, your interface is top notch. I recommend starting out with an interface. If you're just starting out with an interface, I recommended the Scarlett for a while, and there's nothing wrong with that per se, but I really think that the the Volt from Universal Audio, the Volt, VOLT, is great because I love Universal Audio. Now I have the Apollo Twin, but that's like $1,000 interface. But the Volt is it's Volt, like VOLT is like, I think it's like 200. It's a great interface. It's a great place to start. So I really recommend to start with something like that. We want to make sure, remember, this is a real business. Your equipment makes a difference in this, right? So make sure that you treat it as such to the best of your ability. And if you don't have the funds to buy more equipment at the moment, that's okay. Just don't be mad when you're not winning as much auditions and you're not winning as much jobs. It's not your fault. It is where you are. That's okay. That you could still get work here or there, pick it up, but it's not going to be as much. I'm telling you the difference that happened to me when I upgraded my equipment here. I mean, it's life changing. It was life changing. It was life changing. So it makes a big difference. Look, I think that within the VoiceOverJourney Elite Academy too, you know, I was just thinking about it this morning. We were talking about it last night. I want to build more of a comprehensive, you know, deep dive into these things in the academy. I mean, we have all these things available, but as the more audio I listen to every single day from actors, voice actors, the more I realize how important this is. The sound of the quality of your work, how well you speak. You know what I mean? I mean, all the other things we do, the acting, the marketing, running an online business, those are vital to your success. But none of that makes a hell of beans if those things I just mentioned, the quality of your audio, the ability to understand you clearly and not feel like it's a weight on my shoulders to get through listening to your work, right? That is by far the most important thing. Okay. All right. I hope this video's helped today. I wanted to make it, and I wanted to get you thinking about it. If you've not thought about it, and by the way, if you've been doing this for a while, you're not getting work, maybe that is a serious issue that you have. Do you know what I mean? And now, how can you tell, one last thing, logically, how do you go about getting, because when I first started, I listened to my work and I didn't know what was good and what wasn't good. So how do you get feedback? So you need to be a part of a group, you work with a coach, join a VoiceOverJourney Elite Academy, whatever. Be a part of a group or somewhere that can give you feedback. All right. And make sure too, you get the feedback from someone who really is in the know. There's nothing wrong with joining a free group. We have an amazing Facebook group and you putting stuff up there, and getting people's feedback. But remember, you might be getting feedback from somebody who's newer than you. So, just make sure too that you are, the people who are giving you feedback, you're making sure that they know what they're talking about as well. Okay. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, check out Academy Voices, VoiceOverJourney Elite Academy, and we'd love to have you. And if you have any comments about this or questions, please feel free to comment in the video. I know this is a big deal, and this causes that's why, if you've noticed more and more what I've been doing recently, even on Coffee Time and on this as well, is I'm just talking more about this topic because it's big. It's a big deal. Like I've been surprised. I mean, I would say 75%, I'm going to put a number, 75% of the auditions I listen to, the audio or their speaking is poor. The quality is very poor. And so they just disqualify themselves immediately. You know what I mean? And that's causing probably so many voice actors to just not even get work at all, be considered to be getting work. Okay. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, have a wonderful Thursday. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.